Dear friends, I'm extremely excited to introduce to you our new ensemble Verità. We are not the truth, but we are looking for truth. And we were founded in 2020 during probably the most challenging times for us all, with a great hope to create a community, a musical home for us musicians as well as for you, our beloved audience. Today, we are honored to be recording this gorgeous place here in Germany. And we are extremely grateful for Gotham early music scene to stream our concert through New York City all over the world. On our program today, we will have a battle in between two most famous Baroque composers, Vivaldi and Bach. We will start with Vivaldi Trio Sonata, and we're really looking forward to hearing your opinions in our after-party Zoom chat, because that will be the project we will be recording the next. After Vivaldi Sonata, we will move on to Germany, not to Bach the father, rather unknown composer. And after that, we'll finish with the legendary Brandenburg Fifth Concerto. I hope you enjoy, and I invite you to come in. You just heard Vivaldi, Trio Sonata for two violins and basso continuo, Opus 1, number 1, performed by Guglielmo, Bartolomeo, Alexander, and Eugenia. I would like to ask Eugenia, when did she start playing the Baroque violin?
I started quite early to play the Baroque violin because I grew up basically in an ensemble, a Baroque ensemble. People wrote me special parts when I was very young because it was a bit too difficult, and I always kept playing with them till I was 16 or 17 years old, and also mainly with the gut strings.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Eugenia. And now we're moving on to our next piece, Johann Ernst Bach, Trio Sonata for flute, violin, and basso continuo. Johann Ernst Bach, quite unknown composer, not to be confused with the twin brother of the father of Johann Sebastian Bach. This is brother Johann Ernst Bach II, who is the son of Johann Bernhard Bach, who is the second cousin of Johann Sebastian Bach. His piece is very beautiful. My favorite spot in it is the bow vibrato that Leopold Mozart describes the best in his treatises How to Play the Violin for String Instruments. While for us flutists, Quantz described it in the very best way in his Versuch, eine Anweisung zu schreiben, wie eine Flöte gespielt wird. There he writes that the bow vibrato has to be performed with a Hauch, which means breath, with movements of your chest, so you can clearly see how we perform it on the violin as well as on the flute. It's very empfindsam, extremely expressive piece, and I'm so excited to introduce it to you. It was never recorded before, so you're for a special treat. I hope you enjoy. Now, finally, to our last and the most legendary piece, Johann Sebastian Bach, Fifth Brandenburg Concerto. I'm sure you know the story how he was applying for the job in Brandenburg and he didn't get it. He made a beautiful manuscript out of 6 concertos for different instrumentations. And in fact, the fifth has 3 soloists, harpsichord, violin, and flute. I would like to tell you my personal story with this piece because it has been my favorite piece for quite a while, one of my favorite pieces. And I had the honor to perform it in New York City for the very first time, working with Beatrice Martin and Richard Eger. And we even took it on tour through Scandinavia. I had another honor to play it with chamber musicians in Washington, D.C., in Smithsonian Institute. And back then, I thought that was the highlight of my career. And I, back then, didn't even know that 1 year later, I will be in Germany, founding my own ensemble and performing this piece for you, my beloved audience in New York, where I played it for the very first time. And not only that is special about this piece, also the flute that I'm using is my teacher's Karl Kaiser, who founded the Freiburg Baroque Orchestra and played exactly this instrument for 28 years of his experience. And I have the honor to now play the same piece they recorded on the same flute, but with my own orchestra. It's extremely exciting for me, and I'm thrilled to have this opportunity and to share this beautiful music with you. Before we move on to our Brandenburg Fifth Concerto, I would like to introduce to you our only American member of Ensemble Verità, Erin. Let's ask her, how did she end up here?
Hi, Taya. Thanks for having me. Well, it's a really long story, and I guess the seed was planted really early for me. I have actually a great-grandfather who was 100,000 years ago a rabbi in Berlin, actually. So I have some family that comes from Germany, and there were still some Yiddish skills kind of floating around in the family, so we were definitely encouraged to get a little bit of German background in school. So I had, a little bit of language skill, and eventually went on then to, a long time later, to study with Carol Rodland, who actually now is at Juilliard. And she taught and studied in Germany, and was really influenced by the style and the approach. So we heard a lot about it, and I became even more curious and started to think, sometime in this life I'd like to have a great adventure abroad, and the stars sort of aligned and it seemed to make sense. I had some skills, I had some interest, and I was very lucky that there is this incredibly rich musical life now flourishing in Germany, which is also sort of the Ursprung, the original place of classical music in a way. So I fell into this rich musical life, which I didn't expect at all, and I'm very glad about. I came here to do a master's degree with Roland Glaser, and just immediately after I finished, basically, I joined the Allemanda Quartet through some mutual friends, and in the Allemanda Quartet, one of the violinists is Guglielmo Dandolo Marchesi, who has to pardon me for slaughtering his name a little bit. Yes, and Gulli, this fantastic violinist who I'm very honored to play with, his brother is Bartolomeo, who is behind the camera right now, at least equally as fantastic cellist, a little sibling rivalry, maybe. And so yes, so these two groups, my quartet, the Allemanda Quartet, and your group came together. That's how it all happened.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for being part of us.
Thank you.
And now we move on to our soloist on the harpsichord. The Brandenburg Fifth Concerto is in fact the first concerto for harpsichord solo in the music history. And as a soloist today, we have Alexander von Heißen, one of the 2 Germans in the group. We have too many Italians. Alex, what does this mean to you, the Brandenburg Fifth Concerto?
Well, the Brandenburg Fifth Concerto is, for us harpsichord players, the most important piece, maybe. We are all excited to play it, and we practice this piece since the early years when we start Harpsichord. And yeah, every time we play it, every time it's different. The tempi are different, and the articulation and the practicing stuff. But yeah, it's great to play it with you. I'm very happy.
Thank you for being here. And I hope you will enjoy his cadenza. You know, it's the longest cadenza at that point of time, right, Bach?
Yeah.
The first version of this concerto was just 18 measures, and the second version of the concerto number 5 had 63. So he really went for it, and I really love this interpretation. So I hope you will enjoy.
Thanks.
Dear audience, I hope you enjoyed our concert, framed by very famous composers with a gem inside of Johann Ernst Bach. I'm happy to have introduced it to you. I hope you enjoyed it too. And now I'm extremely excited for our after party on Zoom. I'm excited to meet you, and I'm thrilled to share more stories if you're interested in. And I'm really excited for you to meet the members of my ensemble Verità. See you there.